Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess. We do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please make sure to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so we don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum quickly to see what the prices on the doors are this morning. We have Bitcoin down slightly, down 1.15% in the last 24 hours, down to $28,850. We have Ethereum also down slightly, down 1.19% in the last 24 hours, down to 1957. But if we take a look here on the 24-hour chart, we have on the weekly chart, we have overall now seen Bitcoin down 4.43% in the last week and Ethereum down 1.15% in the last week. Now, we've had some good gains up until this point, so we can't complain too much. It's been a bit of a sad week, but we all need to see a little bit of a pullback, creating some supports, retesting those supports, ever stronging the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. We have a huge amount of news to discuss today. Some very interesting pieces as well. Not a dull day in the world of crypto, is there? Let's take a look at the first piece of news that we have here, which is, let's pull this up. Ethereum OGs have been hacked for $10 million in Ethereum via a mysterious vulnerability. So this has been occurring since December 2022. Now, typically, when there's a bug in the world of cryptocurrency, we get to the bottom of that within a couple of hours or a couple of days. We can see how the hacker has managed to get hold of those funds. But in this scenario, we haven't actually been able to diagnose the problem. So we can see that there's a bug that the hackers are taking advantage of, but we don't know what it is. So we've seen typically this is being, the hacks are aimed at OGs within the space, people that have been in the space for a long period of time. So right now it's assumed that somebody has obtained a cache of data with private keys, but this is just an assumption because we can't see any other vulnerabilities as of yet. So they are continuing to test this to try and solve this problem. Usually in the world of crypto, when we see these bugs, I always like to say, let me know how the stream is performing again today. It looks like it's not performing too well. Usually when we see as in it's lagging a little bit, I think, but let me know. Usually when we see a hack in the world of crypto, we try and solve that as quick as possible. We learn from that mistake and we continue to develop the best practice for the languages that we use in cryptocurrency, which are still relatively new. However, in this scenario, we don't know what the problem is. So that's causing a lot of concern, and it is being covered by mainstream media as usual. When mainstream media pick up on a problem in the world of cryptocurrency, they like to share it with the world. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the world of crypto right now. Let's move on to the next article, which is about FTX, because FTX reboot plan has attracted interest from VC firm Tribe Capital. So FTX received a huge amount of their funds back after they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. SBF has been removed from the company, and so have the other malicious actors within the company. So now we're seeing the new CEO step forward and say we could potentially see the FTX exchange relaunch. A lot of people do have a lot of problems with this. A lot of people don't trust FTX and don't want to use it again. I see the advantages as a company to start it again because they have the infrastructure to have an exchange, they have the funds to liquidate an exchange. So why not take advantage of all that groundwork that's been put in place over the years? However, the attraction for cryptocurrency users is low. So they will have to do a lot of marketing. I believe we'll need a rebrand and we'll need a lot of heavy audits to gain trust back in that centralized exchange. And a lot of people will just continue to stay away from it. So we need to see how this goes. But either way, they've still managed to attract interest from VC firms, which makes it more likely that something like this is going to happen, and they are actually going to reboot the exchange. So it's definitely something we need to keep an eye on. But we've spoken about that a couple of times here on the channel. So we'll move on swiftly to the next piece of news. We have here, I need a coffee this morning. I've not made one for today's stream. What a disaster. We can see here UK inflation proving sticky at 10.1%. So the UK inflation has not gone down as much as expected. We were expecting it to go down to 9.8%. This was announced yesterday that it just did not happen. And we can see here that we have seen inflation above 10% for the last 7 months straight year on year. So also not a positive time to be here. We have the cost of living crisis in the UK and gripping the nation as bills soar and wages fail to keep up. We've seen the Bank of England raise interest rates up to 4.25%, and we are expecting that to continue upwards. We are seeing here that we could expect to see, let's get this right, the Bank of England rate is currently the highest it has been since the financial crisis in 2008 and could see the UK suffer a long period of increased rates until the Bank of England can bring inflation under control and head towards the 2% target. Now that 2% target is just feeling like it's so far away right now. Let's take a look in with the chat quickly. We could see here Jason Smith says FTX has a great platform which would perfect for white labels. Very, very true. And SSG3 said FTX needs name change to change as well if they make a comeback, in my opinion. Very true, yeah. It could be a white label exchange. It could be if they have a rebrand, if they change the name on the exchange, it could welcome new users. I've had this debate before with somebody on Twitter, and I've said, I think what FTX will need to do is have a rebrand, and they will need to target themselves at new users within the space. People that have been around during the 2022 crisis will probably veer away from FTX. At the end of the day, we always need to place a little bit of trust in a centralized exchange when we use them. We're not in control of our own private keys, so people just won't take on that additional risk of it being FTX for a long time. Maybe people will give it in the future, but people that haven't been in the space in 2022 probably wouldn't even realise that it's the same exchange that was on the mainstream media and jump at the opportunity to use it if they offer some great sign-up bonuses and things like that. So that is what I'm expecting to see. I'm not expecting there to be a huge problem for FTX if they do actually reboot. Unfortunately, now that malicious actors have come out of the business, if they can audit it correctly and show that they are a business that is operating correctly, why waste that infrastructure? That's my opinion on it anyway. But let's take a look at the next cryptocurrency news here. So we've seen Russia's central bank agree to foreign trades with crypto. Now, since Russia and Ukraine's war began, we have seen many countries cut off Russia and make it difficult for them to make cross-border payments. Now, we can see here that from the since the Russian government faced severe economic from the US and its allies following the outburst of the crisis with Ukraine, the authorities have since been seeking ways to boycott sanctions, leading to the nation's recent move to embrace the Chinese yuan and ditch the US dollar. So this is seen, now that they have adopted cryptocurrencies, it's being seen as another way to cause this de-dollarization movement. So we are seeing here that they will be using cryptocurrencies to make cross-border payments, but they are still saying that they do not want internal transactions through cryptocurrency. So we can see here somewhere in this article, we adhere to the same position that within the country, cryptocurrency should not be used. And for external payments, we assume that this is possible in the form of an experiment. This bill is also being prepared in the form of an experimental legal regime. So that is what we're seeing here. They're not sounding convinced on the transactions just yet. They're just trying to think of a way to get around the sanctions, essentially. But let's move on to the next cryptocurrency news. We have a first look at the Uniswap wallet. So they've launched an iOS application after some complications that they'd seen earlier on, and one of the writers here at Crypto Saving Experts has tested it all out, so you don't have to. So you can take a look at the first look at the Uniswap application. To be honest, it looks exactly as you'd expect the Uniswap application to look, but definitely check that out. Let's move on to the next article here. We have over $380 million waiting to be withdrawn as Binance begins the BF with redemption. So what's happened here is we have the Shanghai upgrade for Ethereum, and users chose to stake their Ethereum many months ago through the Binance website rather than staking on the actual network. To become an individual validator, you need 32 Ethereum. Otherwise, you can join groups of validators, or you can go through a centralized exchange like Binance. Now, these Ethereum stakers have decided they want to unstake their tokens now that they are able to, thanks to the Shanghai upgrade. And Binance halted that for a few days. You couldn't immediately after the Shanghai upgrade did occur. But now that they have begun staked Ethereum withdrawals, we have seen $380 million being withdrawn via the centralized exchange. So we can see here, Binance announced on Wednesday that the holders of the staked Ethereum through their website can start redeeming the tokens back to Ethereum in the ratio of 1-to-1. And the exchange added that the tokens bought from the market or received from staking would be treated equally. However, the amount of ETH redemption users can make daily is limited due to the rate limit designed on the Ethereum network. So you can't just withdraw all of your staked Ethereum from the Binance centralized exchange, just like there is a delay on the Ethereum network. Not everybody could just unstake at the exact same time. This is why we've seen this slow process and we didn't see the dip that everybody has been expecting. But we have the same process on Binance. They can't facilitate all of these staked Ethereum transactions all in one go when they can't unstake on the network all in one go. So they've slowed down that as well. And there's a maximum daily allowance that people can unstake their Ethereum through the Binance centralized exchange, which is exactly as expected. We can see here that the majority of Ethereum validators are not interested in withdrawals yet. Since the Champella upgrade, more than 1 million Ethereum has been withdrawn across several platforms, including Lido and Kraken, and around 993,000 are still waiting for withdrawal. This represents roughly 5.2% of the total ETH currently locked on the Ethereum Beacon chain. So 5.2% is really not that much. And we are seeing people hold on for the long term. We have seen the majority of stakers right now are actually not in a profit from the moment at which they staked their tokens, because we've been in a horrific bear market over the last couple of months, but it seems to start that we are moving to the right direction. Let's take a look at the chat now quickly. We can see here Whole City Group has said FTX can still win people's trust if they still maintain the name. Yes, they definitely can. A name change isn't something that needs to happen. I think it would help with the process, but it's not necessarily something that needs to happen. They just need to gain users' trust. They need to be fully audited. They need to do constant proof of reserves. At the end of the day, what happened with FTX is absolutely shocking, but it's down to a few individuals at the top, and now they've been removed. It is a much safer exchange if it were to reboot. I just can't believe that SBF decided that the funds that FTX were making were not enough. Like, creating a cryptocurrency exchange can be incredibly profitable. You're making a small amount of money every time somebody makes a transaction, but on the scale of FTX, that is a huge amount of money. And it's just greed that's overcome these people that have decided they need to go out and actually take the users' funds as well as taking the transaction fees and making a profit from trying to trade users' funds as well. It's absolutely bizarre to me that people can reach that level of greed, but that is what we've seen here. Let's move on to the next piece of news. Here we have Hong Kong courts classifies crypto assets as property. So let's take a look at this. For the first time, a court in Hong Kong has classified cryptocurrencies as property that can be held in trust. So this is coming after Gatecoin, which was a cryptocurrency exchange. Their liquidators seek to know whether the crypto assets at the exchange should be held in trust for the platform's customers or given to the general body of creditors. Now, taking a look here, some courts have reached similar conclusions in mainland China and the US, Singapore, Canada and the UK. The US Internal Revenue Service recognises crypto assets as property for tax purposes. At the same time, a court in England and Wales once ruled that Bitcoin met the 4 criteria that makes it a property. So there's a lot of debates right now over what we can classify cryptocurrencies as, but we are seeing in Hong Kong, they are trying to become a cryptocurrency hotspot. They are trying to become as cryptocurrency friendly as possible. The banks in Hong Kong are playing along with this, and they want to interact with different cryptocurrency companies as well, making this very easy for cryptocurrency companies to start moving into the jurisdiction. The opposite to what's happening in the US, where we are seeing companies move out of the US because of their lack of clarity on regulation, and we are seeing the same in the UK. The UK is struggling because their banks do not want to work with cryptocurrency, but we're gonna have to go along with it just for now. This weekend I'll get it all sorted out, so it should be all good to go on Monday. So sorry for those problems. It looks like for let me know. It looks like it's all running back smoothly on my end. Let me know if there are any problems. If there are still problems, let me know. I will be fixing it this weekend. Let's take a look at the next piece of cryptocurrency news to see what is happening. So we have, let's move on to the next one quickly. Zach XBT calls out rapper Soulja Boy for promoting crypto scams. So he's made over $700,000 promoting fake crypto and NFT projects. I've just changed over the Wi-Fi, so hopefully this is a little bit better, but thank you very much for letting me know. I will get it fixed. We can see here that is a problem, but we can move on to the next one. We want to get into the important stuff in cryptocurrency. We have Trezor announces privacy solution to Bitcoin transactions. Now this has really shocked me because we've seen a lot of problems around covering transactions and privacy solutions for cryptocurrencies, but Trezor is still gone ahead to decide to make this. So essentially, let's get this right. The new coin join functionality, first announced last year, was made possible by Trezor's partnership with Wasabi Wallet, a Bitcoin wallet with a privacy focus. So how this works is many users can combine their unspent transaction outputs into a single transaction and receive the same amount of Bitcoin with different addresses. So it's basically essentially like a mixer. So it's the new privacy solution. The inputs are effectively mixed, making it harder to track individual transactions back to their original sources. Now this comes after some people don't like the way in which we have centralized exchanges, we KYC on these exchanges, the exchanges can then see every single transaction we make, even when we've withdrawn our money from that exchange. But this is because of the transparency that we get from the blockchain. So Trezor have come up with this solution, essentially a mixer. Now we have a lot of problems with regulators and mixers. They don't seem to combine very well, but we'll see how this goes down. It's an interesting concept. Mixers are a useful tool to have, but we will move on to the next piece of news here. We have Voyager Binance deal gets the green light from the US government. So this has been ongoing for a while. We've seen some pushbacks from the US government and from regulators regarding this deal. In the eyes of crypto, I would say it's more beneficial that this deal does go ahead. It means Voyager users get a bigger percentage of their funds back if Binance do buy Voyager's assets. So this is a positive thing to come to the markets this morning and for those Voyager users. So it is a better scenario than if it couldn't go ahead. There's been a lot of pushbacks, but I think we all knew at the end of the day it was going to be successful. Let's move on to the next cryptocurrency news. Crypto exchange REBOOT introduces zero-fee spot trading for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now this is really not that common. I've been looking for one of these for a while. If you make trading bots that trade like every minute, having a cryptocurrency exchange that has low transaction fees is like a really, really important part of that. So I've done a lot of research into all of these different exchanges, compared them all, seen what's the best opportunity, and you really struggle to find some. I believe Binance now does 0% transaction fees. When they say zero fee spot trading, though, sometimes it doesn't move on to the API side of things, so you do need to check on that. But positive things here, people can buy and sell Bitcoin and Ethereum whenever they want, completely for free. I do believe we have that on Binance already. Let's move on to the next article here. We have US Congressman introduces bill to remove SEC Chair Gary Gensler over crypto rule abuse. So the lawmaker insists that Gentzler's approach to law enforcement made his staff unhappy and drove the companies and capital from the US. Now we are seeing companies move out of the US because of the lack of clarity on regulation, driving companies out of the US, and therefore the US could potentially fall behind on the cryptocurrency adoption that we are beginning to see all around the world. And so that is actually a problem that we are seeing here. We have now seen a new bill introduced in the US which removes the chairman from the SEC and actually creates a board at the top of the SEC to make decisions. And there is also a clause in this bill that means no previous chairman can be a part of that board. So it completely removes them from the SEC, and it basically means you can't come back. Whether this bill actually will be enforced into action, we will wait and see, but I think it would be a very positive thing for the cryptocurrency industry. Let's move on now to the price of Bitcoin and see what happens. It's probably going to pull up some really old lines from this chart. We can see here these old lines have come in well. So these are the lines that we've been talking about on this channel for a very long period of time. On the 4-hour chart, you can see we have these previous levels of resistance. We're looking at the $28,813 level and the $28,600 level. We also have the $27,700 level if we want to look that far down. But right now, this level seems to be holding it pretty well. We're bouncing that really, really nicely on the 4-hour chart. So I'm going to keep that up on my chart and see how that plays out. Let's take a look at the RSI and the MACD to see what's happening on the indicators for the day. We currently have the RSI ticking down at oversold almost, very, very close to that. We are down at 31 for the RSI. The MACD is showing that we are the bearish momentum is weakening. So maybe this is a nice time to buy Bitcoin. Nothing is financial advice here on the channel, but this is looking pretty healthy. If these supports hold, it could be a nice rebound. However, we want to keep an eye on these levels of supports because they're not particularly strong. At least I wouldn't say this high one is. We've used this as a level of resistance a couple of times on the wicks, but I'm going to keep my eye on that. But overall, the indicators do look pretty nice here. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. That is all we have for today's stream, though. I will improve the quality of the internet before next week, so thank you very much for tuning in. We will be back here tomorrow, keeping you up to date on the latest cryptocurrency news and the market data. So make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.